The wind cut across the frozen plain like a blade. Joshua's boots sank into fresh snow, the crunch of each step muffled by the relentless howl of the Arctic gusts. A sheen of ice glazed his ungloved fingers as he checked the handheld scanner, its screen flickering softly in the dim twilight. Readings pulsed energy signatures old enough to predate written human history. He squinted into the swirling flurry ahead. A few hundred meters more, and he'd reached the coordinates, the source of the beacon. The last whisper of a ruin lost to time and myth. Joshua wasn't a soldier, not a hero, just a stubborn xenoarchaeologist with a sleeveless shirt, half frozen. Blood, and the kind of obsession that ignored warnings of death worlds. This planet wasn't on any safe charts. It wasn't on any chart at all. But the glyphs etched in obsidian from an asteroid near Vega matched ones from a forgotten language. They spoke of a stone grove where the ancestors' blood would light the past anew. He had to see it for himself. As he crested a ridge, breath catching in his throat, the landscape opened below him. Vast stone pillars pierced the snow like ancient teeth, each inscribed with glowing blue runes. They pulsed faintly, a heartbeat deep in the earth. He felt it in the soles of his boots. He took a cautious step forward. The scanner buzzed faster. Data scrolled in known language structure, dormant energy, traces of biological imprint. Then the warning flashed, movement detected. Joshua turned just as a blur of dark fur slammed into him. The air left his lungs in a grunt as he hit the snow. Hard, rolling backward. He scrambled upright, heart hammering. A shape crouched before him, sinewed in fast, low to the ground, breathing in short huffs. She wasn't fully human, or fully beast. Her body was sleek and powerful, covered in black fur that shimmered like wet obsidian. Crimson eyes glowed with wary intensity beneath a cascade of thick white hair. Her claws flexed at her sides, tail lashing through the snow behind her. He froze, slowly raised his hands. "I'm not here to fight," he said, voice hoarse from cold. "I came to study the ruins." She didn't answer, just prowled forward, teeth bared in a low snarl. Joshua reached cautiously toward his belt and produced his credentials. "See no weapons. I'm a researcher." But before he could finish, she lunged. He flinched, and pain lanced through his arm. Her claws grazed his forearm, slicing it open. Blood spilled in a warm rush, steaming against the icy wind. He fell back against a pillar. She approached again, but this time, she paused. Her nostrils flared, breathing deep. She blinked, then froze. The red in her eyes shifted confusion, disbelief, something like awe. And then without a word she dropped to one knee in the snow, bowed her head. "Forgive me," she whispered. "I did not recognize you until I scented your blood." Joshua stared at her. "What?" She looked up. "Reverend, you carry the blood of the Starborn, the first one, the one who made us." Her name was Gloria. She called herself a guardian of the stones, a watcher sworn by generations to protect the sacred grove until the ancestor returned. He wasn't convinced. Yet when he scanned the runes again, this time with his own blood smeared into the glyphs, they responded. The stones pulsed brighter, the patterns aligned with his genetic markers. The technology acknowledged him. Gloria walked beside him now, leading him toward her village, across fields of snow and shadow. "You don't have to call me ancestor," he said at last. She tilted her head, considering. "Then what should I call you?" "Joshua." "Josu," she repeated carefully, letting the syllables rest on her tongue like something sacred. "Very well." The village appeared just after nightfall, a cluster of low, fur-covered huts built around a central fire pit, smoke curling skyward. The arrival of a stranger caused silence to ripple through the beast folk. Some hissed softly, others stared wide-eyed. Their fur came in shades of silver, charcoal, and rust, but all had eyes like Gloria's, crimson, intelligent, suspicious. Gloria led him to the great hall. Inside, warmth hit him like a wave. Dozens of elders turned as one to face him. At the center sat Kirith, massive, gray-furred, with ceremonial bone beads threaded through his mane. His gaze pierced through Joshua like a blade. Gloria bowed. "I bring the ancestor." Kirith didn't react. "This human," he said at last, "claims a legacy he does not understand. Let him prove it. Let the blood of the Starborn be tested." Joshua stepped forward. "I didn't come to claim anything. But I won't run from truth either. Kirith's lips curled. Then you will face the trials, that night, by the fire. Gloria told him what that meant. There are 3, she said, the breath of ice, the hunt of shadows, the wisdom of ancients. She looked away, ashamed. No one has survived all 3 in a generation. Joshua nodded. That I'll be the first. She turned back to him. Her eyes burned with something fierce and bright. You won't be alone. Dawn broke with a howling wind. Joshua stood at the edge of a frozen ravine. His feet were bare. In his hands, he held a black stone the size of his chest marked with ancestral runes. The trial, descend the ravine barefoot, carrying the stone. No stops, no help. It was called the breath of ice. His heart pounded. Pain flared the moment his feet touched the snow. Ice crystals bit into skin like knives. But he stepped forward, and forward again. Gloria watched from above, tail still, jaw clenched. He stumbled, fell, got up. The stone grew heavier with every step. His legs shook. Blood stained the snow behind him. But he reached the altar. He planted the stone in its socket. Then collapsed. Gloria was there in an instant. Her hands cradled his bloodied fingers. You did it. Even some of the watchers above murmured in awe. But Kirith's voice cut through it all. One trial does not make him worthy. Let him face the beast. They led him into a cavern. The second trial, the hunt of shadows. He would be locked in the dark with a shadow panther, an apex predator evolved to absorb light, nearly invisible to the eye. No weapons. Gloria stood with him at the mouth of the tunnel. You'll hear it before you see it, she whispered. He nodded. I'll be waiting. Then the gates closed. And the growl echoed from the dark. Lucien had been walking in circles for hours, or at least that's what it felt like. The jungle canopy above was so thick it blocked most of the stars, and the violet moon that hung in the sky, huge, bloated, and unmoving, cast everything in a ghostly lavender hue. The leaves shimmered like glass. Trees whispered in a language of wind and ancient memory. Lucien's boots crunched on dried bone leaf, each step carefully measured. He knew this world wasn't made for humans. The air was thicker, fragrant with pheromones and spores. The plant life pulsed softly with bioluminescence. Even the shadows moved strangely here. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't even supposed to be here. Lucien was a diplomat sent to negotiate a fragile ceasefire between humanity and the night-clad tribes of Varyur. But something went wrong. The transport was shot down, his team dead, communications lost, and now he wandered through alien jungle, hunted by beasts and haunted by echoes of songs in a language he couldn't understand or still. He pressed on. Then he heard it, a low growl. Lucien froze. Instinct screamed at him to run, but he had nowhere to go. From the undergrowth, something emerged. She moved with eerie grace, her form wrapped in sleek obsidian armor that glistened like polished onyx. Her skin, where visible, was dark violet, marked with ritual scars. Eyes like moons, fanged teeth. A double-bladed staff glimmered in her hands, its edges humming. She was beautiful in a way that was terrifying. She was night-clad, and she was staring directly at him. Lucien raised his hands slowly. I don't want to fight. She sniffed the air. Her expression shifted, confusion, then something stranger. She stepped closer, sniffing again. Then she dropped her weapon. Fell to one knee and bowed her head. You reek of the high blood, she said in a low voice. You reek of him. Lucien blinked. What? She looked up at him, eyes wide now, trembling. You were the scent of the one who vanished, the one we were forbidden to speak of, my mate, my Shadow King. Her name was Selith, she claimed. She had waited 100 years in solitude, banished by her own kind for refusing to forget a love she swore had not died. Her tribe called it madness, said the High-Blood King had perished during the Great Silence, that his body was never found, that his human form was myth. But Lucien had his scent, his soul mark, his eyes. Selith believed Lucien was his reincarnation. He didn't believe in reincarnation, but he couldn't explain the dreams. For nights now before the crash, before even the ceasefire negotiations, he'd dreamed of violet moons, of a woman with a shadow blade, of whispered promises beneath alien stars. He'd woken with tears on his cheeks and words in his mouth he didn't recognize. Selith knew those words. She repeated them back to him that night, sitting beside a fire of cold flame. Her voice barely a whisper. "You said you'd return, no matter how many lifetimes it took." Lucien said nothing. He couldn't look away from her eyes. He'd never met her before. He was certain, and yet he wanted to touch her, to brush her skin with his, to see if the world would tilt again like it had when she bowed to him. "I'm not him," he said finally. She looked away. "Maybe not, but your soul remembers me." Selith's people had exiled her to the deep jungle, to the place called the Shrouded Womb, where no light touched the ground and where the trees wept. Acid at dawn. It was punishment or protection. Lucien followed her deeper into it. "Why are you bringing me with you?" he asked. "Because I feel him when I look at you," she said. "Because my heart claws at my ribs when you leave my sight." They came to a clearing where ancient stone spires jutted from the earth, covered in moss, cracked by time. Glyphs were etched into them, runic symbols pulsing slowly like breath. Lucien placed his hand on one. It flared bright violet. Selith gasped. "I told you," she whispered. "Your blood remembers." The next day, the tribe found them. Dozens of night-clad warriors emerged from the mist, slender, armored, eyes glowing. Their leader, a tall female draped in black silk, stepped forward. "Selith, traitor, you defile the jungle with his ghost." "He is not a ghost," Selith hissed. "He returned." Lucien stepped forward. "I don't know what I am, but I came to stop the war." The leader's eyes narrowed. "Then take the trial." "What trial?" "The trial of shadows," she said. "If you survive, the jungle will name you. If you die, we will feast on your bones." Selith gripped his arm. "It's a death sentence." He looked at her. "But if I pass, they'll listen." She nodded. He smiled softly. "Then I'll pass." That night, Selith led him to a temple half swallowed by vines and fog. Inside, the air was cold, stale, smelled like stone and memory. "The shadow trial is not a hunt," she warned. "It's a reckoning. You must face what haunts you most." Lucien stepped into the chamber. The door sealed behind him. Darkness. Total. And then he saw himself, not in a mirror, but across from him. A copy. Eyes cold, voice cruel. "You're a fraud." The shadow. Lucien spat. "You're not a king. You're not her mate. You're just a scared little man pretending to matter." Lucien tried to speak, but the shadow circled him. Whispers, growing louder. "She'll see it soon. She'll remember that you're not him, that your kiss is wrong, that your heartbeat stutters, that you're just human." He dropped to his knees. Then he remembered the dream, the one where he stood in fire, and Selith held him, whispering, "Even if your body dies, your soul will find me." He stood, faced the shadow. "I don't need to be him," Lucien said, "because I love her now." And then he reached out, touched the shadow, and it dissolved. He stumbled from the temple as dawn broke, a strange dawn, violet and gold, filtered through webs of mist. Selith ran to him, throwing her arms around him. "You survived," he nodded weakly, "and I remember everything." She looked into his eyes and saw it. Not just Lucien, not just a diplomat, but the soul she'd waited a century for. She kissed him hard, fierce, desperate. The jungle exploded in birdsong. By midday, the tribe knelt before him. The war was over. Not through weapons, not through treaties, but through the return of a love that transcended lifetimes. Tyron awoke weightless, drifting through a cold shaft of dying blue light. His helmet had a crack running through the corner of the visor, and his wrist comp blinked weakly with a low oxygen alert. He couldn't feel his legs. The last thing he remembered was the survey pod shuddering as it exited hyperspace, then tearing apart as gravitational storms sheared it sideways. Emergency ejection, flash of fire, and then darkness. Now he floated in what looked like a tomb of glass and metal, shattered domes and ruined corridors arcing around a massive alien ring station, drifting in slow decay above a pulsing red dwarf. His training told him to conserve air, but something else made him freeze. A chant. Soft, female, ancient. It echoed through the empty halls, reverent, melodic, calling to something old and buried. Taerin pushed himself forward through broken airlocks and hanging roots of cabling. The deeper he drifted, the louder the song became. It wasn't human. But something about it pulled at his heart like a lullaby from a dream he hadn't known he had. Dot, and then he saw her. Dot standing at the center of a chamber bathed in orange light, robed in pale starlight fabric, her skin a pale lavender, almost translucent. Her hair floated around her head like ribbons. Her eyes glowed white blue. She turned the moment he entered. Her gaze pierced him, then widened with recognition. "You are late," she whispered. Her name was Nyma. She was the last star priestess of Maria, the caretaker of the Sci-Fi tomb, a graveyard of long-dead emperors from a civilization that had burned itself into silence before humanity's sun had even formed. The station was never meant to be found, but she had been waiting. "I don't understand," Tyron said, sitting across from her in the zero-gravity shrine chamber. "How do you know me?" "I dreamed of you," Nyma said softly, "for over 1,000 cycles." He shook his head. "That's not possible. I'm no one." "You're the navigator," she said, "the one who promised to return after the last star fell." He stared at her. And that's when she reached toward his temple. "May I?" she asked. He nodded. She touched his skin with the tip of her fingers, and suddenly, visions, flashes of stars dying, ships burning, a kiss beneath a shattered moon. Her voice young, afraid, saying, "Promise me, even if you're reborn 10,000 times, come back." And his own voice echoing across time, "Always." Tyron gasped, tearing away. "I've never seen that. I've never." "What did you do to me?" Nyma's eyes were damp. "You've forgotten. But your soul hasn't. The Skyfire tomb," she explained, "was once a celestial archive of souls. The ancient Murian kings believed that the stars were alive and that when they died, their light returned home. The tomb was a vessel meant to house them, a memorial, a star crypt. But the last war, the great dissolution, tore their civilization into pieces. Only Nyma remained. Her life extended through crystalline stasis and temporal loops, bound to her duty until the navigator returned. She never imagined he would be human in this lifetime. But she recognized his eyes. Tyron listened to all of it, heart pounding. "This can't be real." She took his hand. "Then why does my touch burn you with longing?" They moved through the tomb together, through starlit corridors and song-etched memory chambers. Tyron saw more visions, faint, fragile, blooming in his mind like echoes of a forgotten melody. A life once lived, a promise never broken. He and Nyma grew closer. She wasn't cold or immortal in the way he imagined a priestess might be. She laughed when he drifted upside down by accident. She liked when he asked too many questions. She pressed her hand to his chest when he panicked from oxygen dips. And she cried when he told her his ship was gone. "I can't stay here forever," he said one night. "Even if I wanted to, I'll die." She looked away. "Then let me go with you." "What?" "I'm not bound by the tomb. I was only waiting for you." He hesitated. "What if I'm not him?" Her fingers curled over his cheek. "You are to me, and that's enough." But the tomb wasn't empty. In the lower vaults, something else had woken. The Null Sentinels, programmed to destroy any being not bearing royal blood. They were dormant during Nyma's long wait, but Tyron's arrival triggered the ancient protocols. They attacked at dawn-cycle. Cold, silent machines shaped like mantis-sculpted angels, with spinning blades and blinking runes. Tyron fought with improvised weapons, metal poles, blast charges, but they were too fast. Until Nyma intervened. She stepped between him and the sentinel, her voice rising in a piercing song, a command. The machines froze. "I'm still the last priestess," she whispered, her voice cracking. "And I say this soul is mine." The tomb shuddered, the runes dimmed, the sentinels bowed, and the tomb granted passage. In the central sanctum, a forgotten vessel was buried beneath layers of crystal and code. Nyma led Tyron there. "This ship was meant for us," she said, "built when the stars were young." He stared at it, beautiful and strange, all curves and light. "Where would we go?" he asked. "Anywhere, everywhere, to make up for the lifetimes we lost." He hesitated, then looked at her. She smiled. "Unless you're afraid of falling in love with someone you already loved before." He stepped forward, brushing her hair behind her ear. "I think I already have." They launched from the tomb that night. Stars shimmered around them. The red dwarf pulsed once more. The Skyfire tomb sealed itself, its duty finally fulfilled. and Tyran Navigator Reborn kissed Naima as their ship vanished into the dark between stars. Two souls finally reunited after 1,000 years of longing. The night was a living thing on the forest world of Shalvira, a black velvet canvas alive. With the shimmer of bioluminescent flora and distant starlight, Rin moved silently beneath the canopy, her movements fluid and precise. Every leaf she stepped over, every limb she brushed aside, obeyed the stealth of a seasoned huntress. But tonight, she was not hunting prey. She was hunting answers. For days, whispers had rippled through her people, the centenary of a stranger spotted in the sacred lands. A male, not of their kind, a creature of soft skin and stilted speech. And most damning of all, his blood had triggered the heartstone beneath the temple rotes. Only the blood of the royal line could do that. Rin had scoffed when the elders summoned her. Why send me to chase shadows? She'd asked, her twin blades sheathed at her sides. The eldest among them had spoken without fear. Because he is not a shadow. He is the storm that will tear our laws apart, or the light that mends what time has shattered. Rin didn't believe in omens or fate. She believed in movement, precision, purpose, which was why, when she finally spotted the figure beneath the radiant bloom of the Zainira tree, a fragile human crouched near a pool of mirror-clear water, she did not hesitate. She leapt from the treetop and landed silently behind him, blades drawn in both hands. Move, and you die, she said coolly. He froze mid-motion, fingers hovering above the water. Then, slowly, he turned to face her. She did not expect the color of his eyes silver, like a shard of moonlight, nor the scar across his left brow, old and ragged, like a memory carved into flesh. I was told you'd come, he said softly. She narrowed her gaze. By whom? The tree. Rin stiffened. No outsider should know of the Zainira's whispers. Only those of the old blood could hear its murmurs, its secrets carried on pollen-laced winds. And flickering light, she advanced a step, raising one blade to his neck. Who are you? He didn't flinch. Talon, not your name. Who are you? He glanced up at the glowing canopy, then met her eyes again. Someone who shouldn't exist. But here I am. The blade trembled slightly in her hand, not from fear, but from something older, something bone-deep and terrifying. Recognition. The village of the Centenary was built into the roots of a mountain, grown from trees shaped over generations into spires and sanctuaries. Rin led Talon in silence, the path lit by veins of glowing moss that pulsed like breathing skin beneath their feet. The others watched from the shadows, some in fear, others with open hostility. Outsiders were not welcome, especially not human ones, and especially not those whose blood stirred sacred things best left forgotten. When they reached the elder's chamber, Talon remained calm, even as the wind shifted and the temple walls groaned with ancestral tension. You claim no lineage, the eldest female said, her skin a tapestry of age and strength. Yet the heartstone awoke. I made no claim, Talon replied. I only followed the dream. The elders murmured. Rin remained silent beside him, one hand never straying far from her blade. She wanted to hate him, needed to, but something in his presence unsettled her. Not weakness, not threat, but truth. The eldest male finally spoke. If you are what the stones believe, then blood will answer blood. A blade was drawn, not for violence but for proof. Talon did not resist as his palm was sliced. His blood dripped onto the ancient Basin artifact older than memory. The chamber trembled, faint at first, then rising like a heartbeat reawakening after centuries. The basin glowed. So did Rin's mark, the one she had been born with and never understood. A sliver-shaped brand along her collarbone that no healer could remove. Talon looked at her with sudden clarity. You carry the other half. Her pulse thundered. The room erupted in argument. Blasphemy, fate, heresy. The bond mark meant only for one chosen by the old blood was a myth, and now it burned on them both. That night, Rin could not sleep. She stood on the overlook, her cloak rustling in the wind, watching the silver mists swirl through the trees. Talon approached quietly, standing beside her without a word. I don't want this, she said finally. Neither do I, he answered honestly. She studied his face, the way the firelight from the lower village danced in his eyes. He looked like no warrior, yet he bore the aura of someone who had survived things no one should. "What are you?" she asked. "I'm lost," he said, voice quiet. "Or I was, until I touched the stone. And it told me to find you." "Why me? I wish I knew." Silence stretched between them. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered, her voice almost a plea. "I know, but you are." He nodded. And then, without understanding why, she reached out and took his hand. Days passed. Tests were held, not trials of combat, but of resonance. The twin marks burned only when they touched, when they trained, when they shared breath in the moonlight. The elders softened. But not all approved. The high-bladed, jealous rival named Viren challenged Talon to ritual combat. "He is not of us," Viren snarled. "He wears no scars earned on our soil." Rin stepped forward. "Then he fights with me." The arena fell into stunned silence. Bonded warriors could fight as one, but only once every century, and only if their bond was sacred. Viren spat. "Then you'll fall together." The fight was brutal. Talon moved with instinct more than skill. Rin flowed like water around him, her twin blades dancing. Where he faltered, she covered. Where she stumbled, he steadied. They did not win by might. They won by unison. When Viren fell, breathless and broken, the crowd erupted, some in rage, some in awe. That night, Talon found Rin beside the sacred pool. Neither spoke. The forest whispered around them, trees creaking with the memory of storms long past. He reached for her hand. She let him. "Do you believe it now?" he asked. She nodded. "Not in fate, but in you." Their kiss was quiet, not rushed, not desperate, but inevitable, like two stars finally falling into orbit. And as the Zainira tree bloomed above them, petals drifted like blessings into the water. But peace is never long among the Centenari. A warning cry echoed from the north. A skyship, imperial design. Rin's eyes darkened. "They've come for you." Talon stood. "Then I'll go." "No, if I stay, they'll burn your forests. You think I'd let you go alone?" Their bond flared. The marks on their skin glowed. And together they ran, toward war, toward truth, toward a love forged not in prophecy but in defiance of it.